What is up, everyone? Welcome to the Podioslave Podcast. I'm here with my good friends Tony and Anthony. How you guys doing tonight?
What's up? What's up? What's going on, guys?
I'm good, man. I'm feeling good. I'm ready to go.
Nice. Yes, we're going to nerd out tonight as usual. But first and foremost, I want to shout out our Instagram and Twitter handle at Podioslave. You can find us there. We're always putting out cool content. In fact, we put something out just now. So go check it out. A little extra nerdery, maybe clues onto what's going to happen in that realm. You'll just have to check it out. San Diego band related, you'll see. But also wanted to shout out Maddie from A Loss for Words. He was super kind to come on last week and chat with us about his experience in the music industry, both as an artist and as a CEO and founder of an artist management company, which is super cool. So he's kind of seen both sides of the fence. So check out that episode 39. But yeah, he was super nice. What do you guys think of that?
Yeah, man, he was. It was awesome. So I actually listen. You know, it's like one of those things. Like you ask a band, do you listen back? Do you listen to your music? Well, it's like with us. Do you listen to the podcast? I did listen back to the episode. And he's so full of energy. It was awesome. And just to hear some of those reminisce about those old venues and the bands that, they played with, and it brought me back. It was awesome. So, Maddie, if you're listening, thank you so much.
Hell yeah, man. It was a lot of fun. I have become a much bigger A Loss for Words fan now, too. I've been, deep diving into the catalog a little more than I had in the past. And, not disappointing. It's been a blast. The one thing about it that I'm kind of sad about after the fact is that I can't go see them play for a couple of reasons. A, they're not really together, and B, we can't go do that right now. So, but in the future, hopefully they do a one-off or, a little reunion type thing. And we will be able to get out there and check them out again, and maybe next year sometime.
Yeah. No Sanctuary turns 10 next year, which is
he
a month away.
He hinted at that too, right? He hinted at maybe doing something like that. So, hey, we'll see.
Yeah, I think he actually gave us a little clue, a little hot take in the episode on what's to come 2021. So check out that episode. Super cool. And happy to have him on. But tonight we got a different situation, a little set list. What are we getting into tonight, Tom?
Couple things that piqued our interest this week. Bob Dylan selling his catalog off for $300 million, and then we caught a couple of cover songs from bands that we loved growing up in the mid to late 90s. Songs that came out 95, 96, 97 time frame that were covered by K.Flay, and she absolutely crushed it. They're a different take on it. We want to talk about those a little bit. And then the main segment tonight, we have the wheel. We're bringing the wheel back, baby. We did the wheel for the Wheel of New Metal a couple months back. We are bringing the wheel back for the Wheel of Concerts. So we've got, 18, 19 years put into this wheel here, and we're going to spin it. And we're going to, when it lands on a year, we're going to pick a show we went to that year and kind of riff on that a little bit. It might be a show we all went to together. It might be a show only one of us went to, and we want to tell that story. So, the Wheel of Concerts.
Spin the nerd circle, right?
Yeah.
I don't have my stuff all organized, so I actually have to dig through my box of ticket stubs. And when I went to go grab them, I realized I've had so many opportunities to organize these, and I realized it's weird that it doesn't take priority. And the reason that it doesn't is because it's like I'm a little kid. I want the excitement of digging and like picking something up and being like, oh, I remember this. And now we're actually going to do a segment.
Yeah, don't organize them then. Keep that excitement alive, man.
Yeah, and like this segment's almost perfect for it. It's like a little treasure chest to like search for a memory. So a little analog Facebook memory type thing.
So what you're telling me is you're going to stick your hand, say 2012 comes up. You're going to stick your hand in and pull out 2001, going to try again. 2015, going to try again until you land on 2012. So we have two separate things going on here. Nate's hints and drawing it out once again.
Exactly.
It's another way for me to draw it out. No, I'll search when you choose a year.
You'll be fine. You'll be fine. I know. I'm just giving you a hard time because I like to.
But you're right. The probability of me choosing the right year is going to be pretty slim. There's a lot of stubs.
Yeah, right. Slim picking. All right, let's get to the first set list item. Bob Dylan selling his music catalog to Universal Music, Holdings or whatever, Universal Music. They $300 million he sold it for, which is mind blowing, right?
Can I make one comment before we get into this? I don't know if we mentioned this. We are official. This podcast is officially over the hill. This is episode 40.
Oh yeah, that's true. We didn't say that.
Yes.
We're mature. We're in our prime, and then it's all downhill from here.
We've passed our own age, which is, I mean, if you look at the people who start podcasts and the average, what is it, 7 they get to or
I
something?
think it's 7 or 8 episodes. They call it quits. So,
we've what, added 5 times that so far, and we're not feeling like slowing down. So we're gonna keep it rolling, baby, even though we're old and over the hill.
So yeah, I wanted to chime that in. So Bob Dylan, Nate, I want to hear your take on this. 300 milli.
It's yeah, I mean, this is just a case study on where things are. I mean, Bob Dylan, you know, kind of on maybe hit the end of the road in terms of a music career. I think this may have been accelerated by COVID. You know, if COVID had not happened, you know, would he make this decision? I don't know. I mean, he's a road warrior. The guy tours all the time, so that's gone. So I don't want to say he's hard on his luck, but then you really just never know. I don't know if you guys read that story a month ago or so where Robert De Niro was hard up for cash because he's not filming movies. And you think, well, Robert De Niro is he's a iconic actor. Like, the guy's set for life. Well, apparently not, you know, because he's paying money to his ex-wife, and there's all sorts of things that he's, you know, caught up with financially. So you start to dig a little bit deeper and realize, like, man, like, even with your success, you're never totally set. So this might be similar with Bob Dylan, where, you know, he may be this icon, but he's in a situation where he's like, you know what, I think it's time. I'm going to sell, and I'm at the end of my career, and I just don't care. Something like that. So it's hard to say.
Well, yeah, I mean, with the De Niro thing, like you live up to the lifestyle you can afford, and it's obviously he's lived up to that. So you need a certain amount of money to maintain that. So that's probably what happened with him. Yeah, with Dylan, I mean, you can either sell out now, which is what he did, or you can keep getting the trickle as he does. I don't know what he gets annually or monthly or whatever, but yeah, I mean, you know, it's like when you win the lottery. You take a lump sum or you take it over time. Well, if you're older, the lump sum makes more sense. The trickle, you'll never get to that 300 million taking the trickle. And how old is he? He's
74, 75. I don't know. He's in his 70s, I believe.
Yeah, I mean, he's up there. So, I mean, financially, it's the right move. And, you know, one could say, well, you know, he could have passed it on to his kids. So, but like, you know, Jacob Dylan, you think he's hard up for money? I don't think so. I wouldn't think so. All those one headlight
I was going to say, he's still getting those one headlight streams. Bob Dylan is 79 years old.
I mean, what is he going to do? Get his couple $1 million check a year, take the money and run?
My thought here is, yeah, exactly. He knows that he's not touring, as Nate said, and no one is, and he doesn't need to live that year-to-year life anymore. He can just take the lump sum. You know, he's got this gigantic catalog. Somebody wanted to throw a lot of money at him to use it. However, good for him. You know, hey, that's it's something cool for him to do at the end of the line, and I could see this happening for people that own their stuff down the line. You know, we talked about Kanye in the past, and people wanted to own their masters. They'll own them until they don't feel like owning them anymore, and then they'll sell them off to the highest bidder because it's one last money grab, right? One last chance to secure the bag. So, yeah, good for him. I mean, we're gonna hear more jazzed up versions of Bob Dylan songs in commercials, which kind of sucks, but it is what it is.
What, like that "Baby I Got Your Laundry" commercial? Have you heard that?
No, is that like
it's an old dirty bastard? Yes,
oh,
it's so bad, and it's like he's rolling over in his fucking grave.
Yeah,
"Baby I Got Your Laundry." It's bad.
Yeah. It just sucks. I mean, that's what happens with all this stuff, whether it be the band that does it on their own or it gets sold to a group and the group uses it for shit. So we're just going to get some funky Bob Dylan commercials coming up. But good for him. He made a bunch of money doing it, I'm sure.
No, totally. And Twan, you brought up a good point on, you know, maybe his family would have benefited to get these masters passed down to them. But the flip side of it is, you know, maybe the return is higher to sell and use those funds otherwise. I mean, it's a great time to invest right now because of what's going on in the economy. So, you know, maybe the return's higher to just sell this and use those funds to 4x those same funds, you know. Is it viable for Bob Dylan to keep these in-house and, you know, keep the masters for whatever reason? I don't know. I mean, what are the viable options from there? I guess repressing. Anytime you own your music, obviously, that you can even do internal licensing rather than going outward and having it go under a publishing company. It's almost like the ease of use. Sell it. Now you have all this money. Now you have all sorts of opportunity, especially like you said, it really made me think like the family, like, well, maybe the family has no interest in music, you know, even though they're tied to a legacy, and they can use that money to invest in anything from something tech related to, I don't know, space travel or something. So there's a lot of variables, but it's still pretty surprising. And it's kind of, to be honest, it's a little disheartening. It just shows like, yikes, like this is like the end of the road. Like who's next, right?
Everybody's got a price, my friend.
You just made the point I was just going to make, which is at 300 million, even if you would, you've got in the stock market or something, go into a high dividend paying stock. You can get 5%, 6%. AT&T pays 6%. That's 18 milli.
Exactly.
And then you'd reap the benefits if the stock went up. I mean, not that he's going to put it all in something like that, but you're not getting, there's no way he's getting 18 mil a year from royalties. So, yeah,
no,
it's probably the right move.
So why does Universal Music Publishing want it for that price? I guess they have it forever, but at the same time, what are they going to make off of it? They're not going to make that either. So,
right, that's a good point.
I wonder like why, other than they have it forever and can use it to sell down the line. I guess that might be. It's just a gathering an asset per se.
Exactly. I think that's exactly it. It's the nostalgia factor that it's, it's one of a kind, right? It's irreplaceable. Yeah, it could be the next next highest bidder if it's just some like hardcore Bob Dylan fan, and it's owned by this label, and then they auction it for, name your price.
Exactly.
And then
they're the price setter.
Yeah, they got to return even on the third round, whatever it is. But additionally, what you mentioned earlier on, bastardizing the music into a McDonald's commercial or something like that. Well, that is infinite, because that really can go on forever. So there actually is a return, even if it's a long play, kind of like a long play stock. So yeah, I mean, there's many variables to it. But at the end of the day, as Bob Dylan as a person, as an individual, it seems like this is inevitable in a lot of ways to any other artist that's in the same situation.
Exactly. It's going to happen with other artists that have that own their masters down the line for them. Whether it be they come on hard times and want to sell everything, or they become 70 and don't feel like touring or doing any of that stuff anymore. They can make some money still. The other thing is, we've talked about this in the past, is how this year especially the back catalog stuff has been popular, and people have been revisiting old music in their streaming services and wherever. And maybe, I don't know the details of the deal, but maybe they're able to now repress things too, and come out with different bundles that Bob didn't necessarily care to do or work on. So maybe that's the thing we see more of too.
Well, the other thing too is, they could partition out the catalog, and you say, hey, I'm going to sell, I don't know what, Blowing in the Wind for X amount. And then that's your floor. And then it's like, oh, well, you saw what that went for. Well, for, like a Rolling Stones, I mean, we're getting big bucks for this one then. You know what I mean? You find one sucker to start it off for a single song or an album, and then you've set the floor.
That's a good point. No, it's a good
Absolutely.
point.
Really good point. And if anything, here's another angle, and also a little segue, is music being covered. So if the rights are owned under one umbrella, the royalties still have to be paid to the sole proprietors. Or, K.Flay covering these songs, she still has to pay the royalties on the song cover. I believe it's called ASCAP, right? And royalties get delivered to the bands that she covered. So who did she recently cover?
She covered, put these out, I think yesterday, or it was this week. Self-Esteem by The Offspring. The was it Break Stuff by Limp Bizkit, and Brain Stew by Green Day, all like mid to late 90s massive songs for those bands.
Exactly. So it's almost like, bringing those songs back to relevance. It's almost like the TikTok thing, like, oh, now the song's cool again. So I mean, with Bob Dylan, you could just recycle these things. So yeah, K.Flay, new music, but not really covers.
So I'd never heard of her. I never actually, up until that point. I think we checked it out yesterday. I think we saw it on Twitter, and I looked her up, and she's in kind of like I don't know, I looked at her related artists, and I couldn't really pinpoint her, so I haven't listened to her original music, but she has a massive following. I think it was like over 2 million monthly listeners on Spotify, so she's pretty massive. But yeah, 3-song cover EP. It was really good. So if you're a fan of those songs and just a fan of like covers flipping the arrangement on its head, check these 3 songs out. They're awesome. And I think my favorite was probably the Self-Esteem one. Yep,
I would agree. All 3 are great, and Self-Esteem was my favorite, and it was the one I came back to. I think I listened to that one 3 times yesterday and was like, yep, it told me 2 things. She's talented and did a very good job making those songs kind of hers, but at the same time, the songs were great to begin with, so she had she was working on a Picasso, you know what I mean? Like something that was already really good, and then she just kind of made it her own, which gave it a different life. But yeah, they were all really cool. Very, very exciting stuff. I saw it on Twitter. It was Spose, episode 29 guest Spose. He had tweeted
Nice.
it out, and I was like, damn, I'm going to check that out. Because we had talked with him, obviously, and grew up with similar musical tastes, and I thought maybe that would be something we would be into, and sure enough, we were.
Yeah, see, that's a classic example, right? It's, regurgitating something that is classic. It's tried and true. It's a good song. So the royalties are going to get paid back at some point. Like you, Twan, I didn't know K.Flay per se. I've heard the name. I've definitely seen it on festival bills and stuff like that, but didn't know. But now I know. So I got drawn in by something that was tried and true, a product that's, very well renowned. And now it's being, presented from someone that I don't know. And now I know K.Flay. And now I'm a fan of K.Flay. Now I'm following K.Flay, So owning those masters and having it segue into an artist that's, putting those out, it's funny. And it just seems like it's history repeating itself, or like we say, it often rhymes. So Limp Bizkit, their first big single was Faith, right?
Yeah.
By George Michael. So it's kind of just like this repeating thing. So to own the rights to any music, it's kind of like a good investment, nonetheless. But
I love that you were able to put see these two differing stories, Nate, and make them one. Like it really did. It does fit. It one hand washed the other there, and I hadn't thought of it that way.
Yeah, very nerd-esque.
Yeah, and like even so, like with K.Flay, like assume she doesn't make anything off these 3 songs off this EP, and the royalties go to those bands or whatever. She's still net positive because I now, like you said, I now know who she is. I actually looked up on Spotify. I looked at her like top 5 songs. So she earned a couple pennies just from me last night, and those add up.
Yeah, that and you're right. It turns people that may not have been aware of what she was musically into people that now are aware of what she is musically, or at least have kicked the tires to see, hey, I like these covers. Maybe I like other stuff that she's put out. So
brilliant move. I mean,
yeah, very smart.
Yeah, and I feel like it's tried and true. It's been happening throughout music history, and the way I look at it, even in boozery, right? We talk about nerdery in terms of alcohol. Anytime there's a collaboration with like 2 craft breweries, there might be one that I never heard of, and all of a sudden I'm a fan of that other brewery now.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
It takes the best to collab.
Analogy.
You can't just like choose anyone.
Nate's on one tonight, guys. If you hadn't heard. No, it's a great
it's
analogy.
Whiskey. I'm drinking a bourbon from Maine, actually.
So you guys want to get into the segment?
Yeah, man, I'm ready.
What's the segment,
Yeah.
Nate? Tell us what the segment is.
It's what is it? The Wheel of Nerdery? No, the Wheel of Concerts.
The Wheel of Concerts. Yeah.
Right?
Yep.
Wheel of Concerts. So we're gonna spin the wheel, which we've been waiting to bring back the wheel forever. It's so fun, and it's got years from 2001 to 2019. Is that correct?
Yep. 2001 to 2019.
Okay, cool.
There might be a wild card in there too that we'll leave be if something comes up. I've got a story for. So.
Yeah. So we're just gonna spin the wheel and choose a concert. I gotta actually dig for them personally.
All right, I'm going to spin the wheel. We ready to do this?
I'm ready.
Spinning right now. All right, here we go. It makes a weird noise you guys can't hear. We'll futz around with that in the run later on. Twan's editing. And, oh, boy. All right, 2015.
Yeah, so I'll go first. So for me, this was one of my lighter years for shows. I only went to a handful, which is probably, if I look across my whole concert experience, could be one of the lighter years. I will pick a show in Boston, Massachusetts, May 22nd, 2015. The Openers, who we mentioned last week. Actually, this is actually a great pick here because 2 of the bands were mentioned last week.
We'll be the judge of that.
It will be one of the openers was 4 Year Strong. The other opener was Terror. And the headliner, and this was House of Blues, Boston, Lansdowne Street, was The Story So Far.
Ooh,
so this actually, this is
nice.
a great pick because it fits into Maddie's narrative from last week, which is kind of these pop punk bands that are taking out heavier bands or vice versa. So Story So Far is a pop punk band from Walnut Creek, California. They took out Terror, who's from LA, and 4 Year Strong, who's from Worcester, Mass. But yeah, Terror's kind of the outlier here. Yeah, I remember I went to this with my wife. So my wife is not a fan of the music I'm into. She got a kick out of Terror. It was something like, nothing like she's ever seen. But she does like Story So Far. I did get her into them. She does like them. But yeah, we drove down, got a hotel, it's kind of something we did. We'd go drive down to Boston, see a show, grab dinner, hotel, and not worry about anything. You know what I mean? It just being from Maine, that like a tour like that wouldn't come up here for the most part. Not in 2015.
Yeah.
Maybe in 2005, but not in 2015.
Yeah, that's I remember you telling this story off air to us about how you used the story so far to get your wife to go see Terror.
Yes. Yep.
And that's funny to me. We put 4 Years Strong on the playlist last week because we did talk about them a little bit with Maddie, and it led me to go back and listen to their first album. That's the first album, Tuan, that song came from?
Yeah.
Which is an awesome record. I had never really given them the time of day. I'd heard about them. Never a band that I had listened to, and it wasn't because I didn't like them, because I listened to it and was like, these guys are awesome. So I'm jealous of that bill. That would have been a fun bill to be at, and it speaks to a lot of what we talked about last week with Maddie, that there were some cool, different sounding bills where you had bands that were bringing out heavier bands or vice versa that weren't, pop punk era. So fun when that happens. You get to see a mashup and a different type of show.
Yeah. And you know what's cool when you were saying that story about you and your wife? It's like, that's the coolest thing about going to concerts is the adventure. You got someone to go with you that maybe not even be into the music. It's kind of unplanned, but it gives you an opportunity to like go do fun stuff, check things out, get good food, be in a different city, change the scenery, break from the workflow. Another reason why, concerts are vital to mental health, right? We need this.
Yeah.
You're right. It was perfect opportunity, because I wouldn't bring her to a Terror headlining show. I just wouldn't. She wouldn't. It's not her thing. But Story So Far, I was like, yeah, I know I'm going, and now you're coming. So, here's your ticket.
Yeah, and it's always
That's
fun
awesome.
to do that. It's always fun to go, like Nate said, go on that adventure with whoever, your friends, your wife, anything like that, and be able to share those concert experiences with another friend or someone that you're with, like your wife or your significant other. So that's awesome, and it's cool that she got a kick out of Terror. Again, you're not going to bring it to the 3-show run of Terror shows on the Eastern Seaboard, but getting her to go to one, it's a small victory.
She commented on, Scott Vogel, if you're listening, she commented on how old the singer was. Sorry.
Ouch. How old is he? I don't even know.
Back then, he was early 40s. Now he's probably...
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, he's probably
still
early.
Viable. Still baby.
Kicking, still going strong with no end in sight. So that's my first one.
That's a good one. I like that one. Do you want me to go, Nate, or did you find one?
I'm looking. Yeah. Why don't you go? I'm still
okay, so I've got two that I've narrowed it down to. They're
Nice.
both very big shows. They're both similar but different. I have good stories for both. I think I have a better one for. I'll call it B. So, what do you guys want, A or B?
Go B, the better story.
All right,
Same.
U2 at the TD Garden in Boston.
Nice.
It was July 10th, 2015. I went with our episode 17 guest, Rob Riccatelli. He got us into the pre-show Cedarwood Lounge. This is for the No Line on the Horizon tour. The pre-show, they had a thing called the Cedarwood Lounge where you could go out back and have a couple of drinks and, pregame for the show with some of the people that were friends of the people who knew people. It was pretty cool. It was through a mutual friend of Rob's and the radio station that he used to work for, the sister station, which is Classic Rock WBLM in Portland, Maine. If you're familiar with the Northeast, you're familiar with WBLM. They've been around forever. Great classic rock radio station in Portland. They call it the Blimp. So I think Brian, the Goo, who's a long time radio DJ for the BLM, had tickets, and Rob was like, "Do you want to go?" And I was like, yeah, it's U2 again. One of my favorite shows of all time. I'm absolutely down to go see them again. So it was 10 years, almost 10 years to about 10 years and a month after I saw him the first time, but much different circumstance. The first time I saw him, we've talked about here before, was 2005, and I was in the nosebleeds. I think I was 2 rows from the wall at the top of the garden. This time I was down on the floor, a couple of arms lengths away from Bono. So it was really a gnarly situation. We got backstage. Our tickets were actual seated tickets, and we were hanging out at that Cedarwood Lounge thing, and we were like, when we go out, we have to follow this crowd and see if we can stay on the floor. And sure enough, we stayed on the floor, and all of us were like, we can't leave to go to the bathroom because we're never going to get back down here. So,
unless you start elbowing people.
Or try to get back down by the security guards. It just wasn't going to happen. So if you're familiar with U2, they put on a pretty gnarly stage presence type show. Very big, lots of lights and sounds, and this was no exception. The stage went halfway into the crowd. Bono was doing his thing, and they're just awesome. They're a great live band. They've always been a great live band. Boston is a great city to see them in. It's just it was a great show. And last little cool nerd tidbit, Joe Elliott. You guys know who Joe Elliott is?
Of course I do.
Yeah, who's Joe Elliott? Who's Joe Elliott?
Def Lab.
Yeah, he was backstage at the Cedarwood Lounge with us.
Wait, and they weren't playing the show?
No, he was just at the show.
No
as
way.
A fan. Dead serious. I was standing next to Rob and Brian, and I was like, guys, is that? And they were like, yeah, that's Joe Elliott.
So they must have been in town, maybe playing
shit.
there the next night or something.
A couple of nights. Yeah, I think they played 3 shows on this tour. We were the middle show. Yep. It was
See, I'm not
great.
I'm not the only nerd that can spot a casual rock star in the crowd.
Yeah, but you do it when they're wearing a mask, Nate.
That's true. At Whole Foods. This guy was at a concert. But yeah, it was. I do have a grainy old photo, and I gotta look it up. I might be able to find it, and I do have photos from this show to show where I was at. I'll try to throw those into the YouTube and maybe up on Twitter for the episode stuff this week, and Instagram if we can find them. But yeah, really cool situation.
That's an awesome story.
That is an awesome story. It shows that you were a very important person, a VIP.
No, I wasn't. I knew some people who knew some people.
But you know what? That made that experience. Like if you were in the nosebleeds again, you'd remember the show, but you probably wouldn't have picked it, for this segment. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah.
It wouldn't have been as memorable.
It was pretty memorable. They were great. And I mean, it's probably in my top 10 shows. The first one being, I think, my favorite show of all time. So.
Ooh, damn. I was going to say hot take, I think, but no, you've talked about that before.
Did you find one?
That's awesome. That's awesome. I was going to say my situation is different because I'm literally digging for the shows, but I found one from 2015 out of this massive ticket treasure chest.
Yep.
And there's dual nerdery in this one. And there's a little backstory on it. And I think we've talked about it on here before, but this is a great classic example of how this stuff goes down for me. So the show is in Los Angeles, and it's on a Wednesday, so school night. So usually when I go to shows on a school night in LA, it means that it's probably work related because I'm usually not going to jump up from San Diego to go to a show out of thin air just because we're getting older and that's just harder to pull off these days. So, planned some work writing around this. Yes, I'm dragging this out a little bit.
And you're still digging in the box? That's what you're doing.
No, I got it in front of me.
I know.
Who's playing the Hollywood Palladium on April 29th, 2015? You don't even need a quick Google search. Mastodon and Clutch dual headline show.
God,
yes.
Dual headline?
We got that show in Portland, by the way. I just didn't go.
Yeah, what was I? Man, show regret.
It was a school night, A, and B, it was like $40, and Clutch wasn't the headliner, and I didn't want to pay $40 for. And now I wish I had, obviously, but
Of course, yeah.
Sorry, Nate. Continue your story.
That's not even that much money. Yeah, I'm looking this up right now. $29.50 with a $10 service charge.
Wait a second.
40
Ticketmaster.
Ticketmaster. Oh, man, that's crazy. $10 on a $30 ticket. Not crazy, but yeah, I mean, like, obviously I linked this to a work trip, and it's great. Awesome show. Waited in line, saw the show by myself. Classic example of doing it for the nerd because I was up there and had to drive back late because of it. So all the aftermath of, pulling a double duty with nerdery and work, career stuff. But it was a killer show. Clutch always puts on an awesome show. And I've seen Mastodon before, but they were on it this night. I think there's something to be said about, the market that you see a show in. So I've been lucky enough to live in New York City and in LA. So I kind of get those showcase shows where they know the labels are there. They know their peers are there. Los Angeles, obviously a powerhouse for the music industry. So they're like on point. No one fucks up at LA and New York shows. They know that that's where everyone's there. Their friends, family of family, all that stuff. So killer show. I haven't seen Mastodon in a very long time, maybe even since the show in 2015. But Hollywood Palladium's a great venue, classic venue. I had a goal to kind of cross off all the LA. So
how big is that
capacity? I don't know.
Yeah, rough estimate.
I want to say 2,500 maybe.
Okay, yeah. So a smallish venue, which is nice.
Yep. So yeah, I was on the Missing Link tour, 2015. Yeah, you should have went, man. You guys both should have went.
Yeah, Twan and I, I remember talking about this with you, Twan. We did talk about going to this.
Yeah, I don't know why.
It just didn't happen. Yeah, I think we both were like, it's a Tuesday, and I think I was in the throes of a pretty busy part of my schedule. I think it was May. We saw them we got them maybe 3 weeks after you did, Nate. Yeah, I think that's why. But I now, obviously looking back on it through the lens of 2020, every show I didn't go to, I'm like, I'm an idiot. I should have gone to that show. So yeah, I wish I had now.
Nate, this might surprise you. I've never thought of that angle where bands would be more on point in LA and New York. And I think it's largely just because, we're our home court is Portland, Maine, so like we take what we can get. I'm not even thinking about, hey, someone might be, looking to get an opener might be looking to really put on the fucking best show of their life because there might be, that major in the audience or, that next level. I've never thought of that. That's why we do this podcast.
Yeah, right. Nerd insight. And the reason it really came to mind is because I've lived in many different markets, right? So Portland, Maine, where we're all from, New York City. So that's a major market, powerhouse for the music industry. I also lived in the Tampa Bay area of Florida. So I've actually seen some artists that I knew kill it, do misses there. And I'm like, wow. And actually it's given me a really good overview on live touring, because I know like it's not even that they don't care if they're pulling off a crappy show in Florida. It's just like by the time they get to Florida after doing some killer shows in maybe New York City, it's just like they're burnt out or whatever. So they might step it up. They might even be burnt out by the time they get to New York City, but they're like, well, we don't have we'd be dumb to not nail this show for whatever reason. Very variable, a lot of variables to that. But yeah, it's funny, Tone, when you mentioned that it was maybe a school night. Had this show rolled through San Diego, which it didn't, and it was on the Tuesday or the same Wednesday or whatever, I probably wouldn't have gone to the show. So it's funny. But it went to LA and it was like LA only. I'm like, it almost put me in a situation where it's like, well, I don't want to miss it. But if it came to San Diego, I'd be like, well, I've seen both bands. I don't need to go.
Yeah, it's a school night. Yeah.
That's it's you've always, we've talked about this with you, maybe not on the podcast, but generally as nerd people that love to do this stuff, you are always like, going to this show in LA because I booked my work trip around being in there and they're going to be here. Obviously you had to go to LA, you're going to do LA stuff for work, but just so happened somebody was playing there that you wanted to see, so you made it work, which is as we say, doing it for the nerd.
Yeah, I had a blast doing it too, because it was like I go to LA anyway, so I guess I should go on this day.
Well, and they get everything. I mean, as far as shows go, if it's happening, it's probably making its way through SoCal or LA for sure.
Yeah, and even full disclosure, like if the client or whoever I'm working with in tandem, if they need to meet on a different day, obviously work comes first. So I wouldn't be like, no, it has to be the day of Mastodon and Clutch. I can't.
No, you would have, right. Somebody else was there that night. You would have seen them. Your work trip was made, and hey, just so happens somebody's in town tonight. I'm gonna go check that out. You were always smart about that.
Or I would confirm based on that. Yeah, I'd be like, oh, sweet. This is actually a lot of the times it was a client's like, hey, can we meet on this day? And I'm like, absolutely. And we've referenced Polestar. Then I would go on Polestar. What's playing? Kind of like your Australian trip, Twan. Like, who's playing? Oh, sweet.
Yeah,
nice.
Sometimes it just works out.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So
that's a good
true
one. That's
nerdery.
a good story. Yep. All right, we ready for round 2? Spin the wheel.
Round 2. Let's do it.
All right, the wheel is being spun.
Spin the nerd circle.
I did take 2015 out, so it won't be 2015. Ooh, 2004.
Ooh,
going in the
year.
Wayback Machine.
So this is a good one for me because I have a lot to pull from.
You're a young buck.
This was, what, 19 years old, 18, 19 years old. Not a lot of money, but a lot of time, I guess.
Yep.
So who wants to start us off? Tone, why don't you start us off this time?
Ooh, you're going to make me do it. All right, I got it. Late in the year, Nate, you went to the show with me.
Sweet.
It is a Portland, Maine show. It is a State Theater show. It is the first, one of the last shows played before the State Theater closed for 4 years because of fire code stuff and having to update the building. Do you remember this show, Nate?
I know it.
Was it Seven Dust?
It was Seven Dust.
Yeah,
nice.
I knew it.
Seven Dust on December 14th, 2004, at the State Theater in Portland, Maine. And it was the first time I'd ever seen Seven Dust. And again, shouts to our episode 17 guest, Rob Riccatelli. He hooked us up with tickets through the radio station. I think it was the first time he had ever given me a ticket to a show, which would end up happening a million times. But it was one of the last shows before they closed down, because you guys remember the Great White Incident in Rhode Island. Does that sound right? Or Connecticut? Something like that.
It was in
one of those
Rhode Island. Oh no, yeah,
Rhode Island.
It was in. Might have been Connecticut. You're right. It was
it was.
It's one of those.
Right. There was a pyrotechnics issue, and this goes back,
It was a venue called, I think it was called The Station as well.
I think you're right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Which we have a station in Portland, Maine, too. Which would also have a weird time if something like that happened, if I remember correctly. But
100%.
yeah, the State Theater at this point had kind of fallen into disrepair, I guess. It was just beaten up and old, and it's an old building to begin with. It was an old porn theater in the 30s or something, and it needed things to get it back up to fire code to allow it to have 1,500 people in it for a concert. And this was one of the last shows there. And then for the longest time, we didn't have them open for, I think it was 4 years or so, and it just felt like, oh man, we used to get all these shows at this great venue that we grew up in high school, and I was happy that we were able to go see Seven Dust because Seven Dust was awesome. I can't remember who opened for them.
Mudvayne, I think.
Was it Mudvayne?
Yeah, I think it was a double bill.
Did we miss Mudvayne? I don't remember Mudvayne.
Maybe I'm thinking of a different show.
Checks out time frame wise, but shit.
Although in that time, Mudvayne might have. It would have to be a co-headline because I don't know if they would have opened for Seven Dust in 2004.
Yeah, they may not have at that point. They were probably big enough to be on their own. Similar to.
I'm gonna take a wild guess on the opener.
Cold.
Non-point.
It might have been, but I saw Non-Point with Papa Roach with you. I think both of you guys around the same time. But yeah, Seven Dust, State Theater. Seven Dust was great. Nate is actually showing that he found his ticket stub too. So we'll get a picture of that up for all of the visuals this week. And yeah, it was a cool show. And one of the last times we were in that, if you remember, before they renovated, the basement bathroom was so bad. That place, I mean, it was such a gross old building before they kind of cleaned it up and gave it a little bit more charm and a little bit more warmth and a clean operating bathroom. So yeah, good time. It was a good time. And it was, one of my last shows there before they closed for 4.5 years.
So I just real-time fact checked and I actually got it right. It was cold.
No way.
Yeah.
Oh wait, no, wrong show. Well, they played was that the April show?
No, this is December.
Oh, okay.
They came a lot.
They came April 2004, and it was cold.
Yeah, I didn't go to that one because I never saw Cold. Unfortunately, I like Cold. Shit, who did they tour with for that?
That's crazy that they came twice. That just shows how much the Seven Dust truly is road warriors. They
liked Portland. Like they would play Portland. They knew WCOI was big into Seven Dust at that point. Our local alternative radio station, right? They were probably touring on Seasons. Right?
Seasons, I think.
Yeah,
it was after
which was a good record.
Yeah.
Yep, good record. So, makes sense.
That actually is a pretty good record. It gets overlooked, but it's actually pretty decent.
Was it Enemy? Was Enemy on that?
Yep.
Yeah.
Which was about Dez from Coal Chamber.
Was it? Oh wow.
No, you said
yeah.
Yeah. A little nerd factoid. Yeah.
Lejean, great frontman, great. Just they're a good band. Like go peep Seven Dust stuff. Like, you won't be disappointed.
So Nate, I assume you're still digging. Do you want me to go?
I actually have a few, so I can actually go.
All right, let's roll.
Yeah, 2004, man, great year. In fact, I actually had a bunch, and I had to just kind of sift and pick something that had a good story to it. So, and they all do, obviously. On Tuesday, November 9th, 2004, in Worcester, Massachusetts, I saw Velvet Revolver.
Wow!
Oh, wow!
Yeah, first and only time. Obviously, this is a super group, as they call it, with Scott Weiland from Stone Temple Pilot fame and the backing band members of Guns N' Roses. So Slash, Duff, can't remember who the drummer was, but great friggin' show. No, Izzy was a guitarist, but
Steve.
No, it wasn't Steve.
I think it was.
No, it wasn't the original drummer.
Oh, it wasn't. Okay.
Shit, can't remember his name.
Steven Adler was the drummer of
Steven Adler's
Guns N' Roses, original drummer.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay. So I
exactly.
fact checked myself. I had the right name.
Exactly. Yep. Unfortunately, didn't get invited to the Guns N' Roses reunion a few years back, but nonetheless, this was an amazing show. I was always a big fan of Scott Weiland. Obviously, a huge Stone Temple Pilots fan, and this was like kind of an era for super groups. So we had like Audioslave. Shout out to Podioslave, right? Velvet Revolver was kind of same era. So we had Scott kind of coming back out of kind of recluse and a little bit of a hiatus. He'd been kicked out of Stone Temple Pilots. So this was like kind of a return, similar to Chris Cornell with Soundgarden, kind of coming back to the stardom of the music world. It's everything that I remember from Stone Temple Pilots in terms of Scott Weiland being just an amazing frontman live, especially. and obviously didn't disappoint with this show. And was the first time I've seen anyone from Guns N' Roses perform. So to see Slash on stage was pretty big for me, actually, because I had never seen him, and obviously I've heard his recordings. And an amazing show. This was actually a show I saw with our good friend Rob Riccatelli as well. And with the music industry hookups, we had an amazing time at the show. And then after the show, we had a meet and greet with the band, which was really cool.
No shit.
Kind of dating myself. Yeah, dating myself because meet and greets are very timely of that era or whatever. Everyone was there at the meet and greet except for Scott Weiland, which sucked.
Yeah.
Because he was a big hero of mine. So I was like, man, I can't believe he's not showing up. But he was notorious for being late on stage and just anything Scott Weiland related. Unfortunately, it's just his style. So yeah, he literally didn't show up to the meet and greet, and everyone was kind of like, what's going on? And the band seemed very like they didn't want to talk about it. It was very uncomfortable for everyone in the room. So yeah. But with that said, I mean, the band was great. Slash was awesome. We got our autographs and everything. And between the show, meet and greet, and just going to the show, it was on a Tuesday, so another school night show. And
school nights didn't matter in 2004, though.
No, they didn't.
Yeah, I guess you're right.
They like legitimately were school nights. Like we probably had school the next day.
Oh, definitely.
Exactly. Yeah.
If it was during the school, non-summer for sure.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's a cool show, Nate. I never got to see them. I got to see, obviously I saw Weiland with STP once with you, which I think we talked about.
Mm-hmm.
And also with his band. Jeez, we saw him at the Asylum maybe not too long before he passed. So got to see him a couple times, but didn't see him with Velvet Revolver. That would have been really cool because that album was good. Like Contraband was a good record with some fun, like big radio hits, and interesting to hear Weiland like be the kind of front man that band needed at the time. So pretty cool.
The thing that comes to mind, Nate, is that's a small venue for them. You said Palladium?
Oh, sorry. It's the Centrum.
Oh, the Worcester Centrum. Oh, okay. Yeah. That's a little more. Yep. Yeah. I was going to say
10K, 15K. That's fairly big, isn't it?
Yeah. Yeah. Probably 12, 13. Yeah. It's right in that. Because Palladium's like maybe 2.5, maybe 2.
Yeah.
2.5. Yeah.
Exactly. And oddly enough, this was kind of a big time frame. Speaking of like concert venue nerdery, where they were getting a lot of good gigs. It's always interesting when a secondary market, at least for Massachusetts, Worcester, compared to Boston proper, gets the gigs over like the TD Garden, for instance. I know that's a bidding war type thing, but Centrum was on fire back in 2004. They were getting everyone. And Palladium was, independent from Ticketmaster, the smaller venue we were referencing earlier. So they're mass concerts. So they're getting, non-Live Nation shows, which is why it's such a huge metal scene in that area. But yeah, even just to reference like school night thing, it's like it still takes a lot for me to go from Maine to Worcester because Worcester is a tough hang.
Yeah,
but
it's a good
2.5
drive.
hours. Yeah, solid 2.5.
Yeah. I'll do anything for nerdery. So.
Yeah. Yep. That's If 03 comes up, I've got a good Worcester Centrum show that I was at that I think actually we may all have been at.
Nice.
That would be a fun one to talk about, but I'll wait just in case it does come up. I don't want to bring it up. Maybe after I will. Nate, good call. I'm not trying to steal your thunder like you did to me a couple weeks ago, but good call about Mudvayne Seven Dust. Around that time in 04, early 05 into late 05, they played Portland the following December with Mudvayne. So.
Oh wow!
They did tour with them, and then it looks like the show. Just looking, the support for our show might have been Il Nino. Remember Il Nino?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
that makes sense. Yep.
But yeah, no, good Velvet Revolver pick. I like that.
So Nate, you did the unintentional segue, and what I mean by that is I have a Worcester Palladium show.
Oh, awesome!
Ooh.
This was freshman year of college in the spring. It was April 18th. I'll start from the openers. So the first opener was Spitalfield. They were a Victory Records pop punk-ish band. The third opener was Engine Down. I don't remember too much about them. The direct support was Poison the Well, and the headliner. Any guesses?
Is this Deftones?
Nope, but they did play a show with Poison the Well right around probably the same year. This is Thursday.
Yeah.
Ooh, nice.
Oh, Thursday headlined. Yeah, so it's interesting. Like when I think back, I don't remember anything about the show other than like where I physically stood, which was on the right side of the stage. And if you've ever been to the Worcester Palladium, there's like levels up. It's like it's almost like the State Theater in Portland where there's different tiers. I was in like maybe the second tier on the right, but I remember that. What was interesting though is Thursday they weren't touring off an album. So like War All the Time came out in 03. Actually, maybe it was. Yeah, fall of 03 was War All the Time. So this was still supporting that, which is a great time to see them because Light by City Divided hadn't come out yet. Common Existence, No Devolution, like those albums are just okay. That was them in their prime because you got all the old stuff. You got War All the Time, which was major, but still good. And then Poison the Well, they had changed, right? So they put Tear from the Red in 02 and then, or 01, and then, what was it? You Come Before You was 03. After that, they kind of lost me. So that was another good time. Although still a big venue for them. But I'd love to see the set list for those two bands for that show. I'm sure I could dig it up.
Yeah, setlist.fm, brother. I'm sure it's sort of there. The problem with 15, 16 years ago, it's hard to get those up. There's not a lot of accuracy.
Yeah, Poison the Well was a little past their prime maybe in that point in time. I would have liked to see them, and I did. I saw them years before then, but great opener for Thursday.
Hell yeah.
Heck yeah.
Have you guys seen Thursday?
Oh, hell yeah. And in fact, like, fortunately or unfortunately, I feel like I was at this show. For some reason, I'm not 100% sure. Yeah.
I have never seen
them. But yeah, Thursday is great.
I have the poster, the 11x17 kind of playbill thing with the bottom of it's intended for the venue to write the location and thing. They send them out to all the venues. I have a bunch of those. Actually, Nate, you do too. You had a bunch in the nerdery, Nate's nerdery. I'm pretty sure.
Nice.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure.
I think that's what I'm thinking of. Like, I feel like I was at that show because I at least have the, like the telephone pole flyer for it, I think.
Yep.
But I might have grabbed that, just being in Boston and grabbed it off the wall kind of thing, so.
Well, it's the one with all the TV screens, all the TVs stacked on each other.
Oh, yeah.
Do you remember that?
Yeah,
that was,
totally.
I'm pretty sure it was that tour.
Huh. Wow.
I never get to see this band, which kind of bums me out because I was big into them in this time frame. Listened to those first two records a ton. So yeah, I'm jealous. That's a cool show. And again, that's one that like why didn't we get that in Portland? That would have been a show that just didn't make it to our area, and that's probably why I didn't see him.
Well, Thursday did play the State Theater within a year. I want to say after this, or might have been. Actually, it could have been this tour. To be honest with you, have to fact check me on that. But they did play Portland when I was living in Massachusetts, so I didn't go to the Portland show. I went to the Mass show.
Yeah, but that probably would have been.
I was going to say
a smaller bill.
I
think it would have been all those bands. State didn't do a ton of that.
No,
maybe 3 if you were lucky.
Yeah, have to look that up. Thursday did play.
I believe you.
The State, around that.
Didn't get to see him.
But yeah, that was a great time period for shows at the Palladium, both downstairs and upstairs. I spent a lot of time there. A lot of time.
I love that venue. That's one of those classic theaters that's just like super grungy, super dirty, but it's like gets epic shows. I've seen so many amazing shows there. And Worcester's just it's an interesting place, very old school in terms of what's around you, old buildings, old things. But that Thursday show at the State Theater, I know that I ddid see that show because I met Jeff. I met Jeff walking down Congress Street in Portland to get food or something, and he was walking too, and I was like, oh wow. And I think we were both walking in the same direction. We like chatted for a minute. But yeah, I still don't know if I saw that Worcester show, but I definitely saw the State Theater show for sure.
All right, want to do round 3?
Yeah, let's spin it up.
Yeah.
All right. No
circle.
Whammies. Ooh, 2008. 2008.
Damn.
It's gonna be. There's some good one. I know I have one of my favorites from this year. Is in that time.
Yeah, 08. That was a great. I know for a fact that was a great year for live music for me. I was on a run.
I think I have my second favorite show of all time. It's from 2008.
What?
Yep. Second favorite show of all time. You want me to lead off? I'll just go.
Just go. Perfect segue.
I have teased this. We might do this as a segment at some point, but I have teased this show in the past because I wanted to tell the story about it because it was a very cool happenstance at this outdoor concert at Gillette Stadium in August of 2008. So I had recently moved out finished college, living with a couple of buddies in Portland, Maine, and got this notification from probably Ticketmaster or something in an email, and they were like, "Hey, this concert you want to go see, you've never seen this group before. You might want to go buy tickets for this. Use your credit card." And I just gotten a credit card because I'm out of college and I'm an adult now, and I'm like, I've never touched that thing. I've just like kind of left it hanging and not used it. So I activated the credit card for the first time. I think it had it for like 3 years and never touched it. Bought Bruce Springsteen tickets.
Nice. What venue again?
Gillette Stadium.
Gillette. Yeah.
On the floor, on the ground, out on the field. I think we were like maybe, I don't know, we were halfway back. So I don't know, 50 rows, 40 rows back on the field at Gillette. Just the boss and the E Street Band. I took my dad because my dad's a gigantic Bruce fan. And we were just like, I called him and said, "Hey, I think I bought him around his birthday, which is earlier in the summer." I was like, "I bought Bruce Springsteen tickets for your birthday. We're going to see him in August." And he's like, "Holy shit, this is amazing. Like, what an awesome, that's going to be so fun. I've never seen him." So we get down there, we treat it like a Patriots game, which we've been going to for a handful of years. And tailgate with some guys. This is August of 2008. So tailgate with some guys from New York who had driven up, and all they did was rub in the Giants beating the Patriots the previous year in the Super Bowl.
Oh yeah,
the undefeated season.
Yep.
Yeah, and that was tough. Those guys were tough, and I was like, all right, this sucks. I don't want to listen to it, but I was like, I already got 3 Super Bowls. Like, is it the end of the world? And then we're gonna get 3 more. You know, it's all good. It could have been a lot worse, but those guys were cool. Had some beers in the parking lot, and then went into the show. And the forecast that day had called for some thunderstorms, and we weren't sure how it was going to be. It's an outdoor venue. We were just kind of worried that, we're not covered because we're on the field. Are they going to have this? Is this show going to happen? So we get into the venue, we get a beer, we get an overpriced, like $15 beer, pretzel or something, hanging out. And they come over the intercom. They're like, "Hey guys, all right, everybody needs to try to get off the field and underneath the overhangs the best they can. We have some weather coming through. It's the only cell we're going to see tonight. And then Bruce will come on after." And we're like, all right, cool, whatever. So we get out of our seats, go up, hang out underneath the overhangs at Gillette Stadium, and the skies open up, and just it pours, and there's a crack. You see a thing of lightning and a crack of thunder, and then 50,000 people erupt into noise, just cheering on this thunderstorm, like it's the best thing they've ever seen. And then a couple of minutes goes by, and lightning again, and then thunder, and then this huge cacophony of people just cheering and going crazy for a solid 15 minutes. And like, save your energy for the boss guys. Like, we've got Bruce Springsteen and the E Street Band coming out. Save some energy. But now we were just going nuts for this thunderstorm. Thunderstorm passes, get down on the floor. The boss comes out, plays a bunch of amazing songs, 3-hour set. Just the guy's a madman at 62 or 3 at the time. And, I don't think I've seen my dad happier. It was a fucking blast. One of my favorite shows, concert experiences of all time.
So did it rain?
Oh, yeah. Poured.
You guys were so, but you probably didn't care.
No, we were under the overhang. We stayed pretty
that's
dry.
right. Okay. Damn. Because I'm trying to put myself in that, and like, there might have been some people that left.
Yeah.
Think about that.
Fuck that.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
At that time, I was a broke college kid that didn't have a real full-time job yet. And I think I spent $200 on tickets. So.
And you just driven 3 hours to get
Yeah. In 2008, no money. Spent $200 I think it was $97 with an $11 fee for the seats. So yeah.
Geez, percentage-wise, that's not bad. 10%, for fee, relative to, what you just said, Nate. $29, $11 fee. It's the 30%.
What happened in 7 years? Inflation.
You're right.
Yeah, the boss at the Gillette Stadium in Massachusetts in 2008.
So Nate, this sounds like a show you would have been at, maybe?
Yeah, totally. No, I wasn't at that show, but if I was around, I would. Yeah, if I was around, I would be at that show for sure.
Oh, that's right. Because you were not. Were you in New York?
I was. Yeah, exactly.
Either of you guys seen him before or seen him since?
Never seen him.
I've seen the boss a few times at a festival and solo. Or sorry, not solo. Him and the E Street Band, and yeah, man, Bruce is a powerhouse. And like you said, like at his age, I mean, it's Mick Jagger-esque. Like, how does this guy do this? Like, how does he pull it off? I'm so tired at 36 at the end of an 8-hour day to do that on a tour and he's notorious for what, like 3+ hour shows on top of it. So
Yep.
you're touring, you're playing long shows, and you're moving around. It's superhuman. It really doesn't make any sense. But he's super fit too. The guy's like, well known for being in shape. So I mean, obviously that's a testament to that. Is take care of yourself first, and reap the rewards of being in shape and in touch with personal health. So
have you guys ever done karaoke?
Once.
I mean, your voice
Yes.
is shot after one song.
Yeah, right.
Exactly.
I mean, granted, like he's a professional, and like everyone we're mentioning are professionals, but god damn, I mean, I'm 3 hours is ridiculous.
And it's nightly.
It's nightly. Jesus.
Yeah, that was a cool show, and obviously the thunderstorm prior to made that event even more memorable. But yeah, it was gnarly. It was a lot of fun.
For some reason, I just thought of that Ted song, "Fuck You, Thunder," from the movie Ted.
Yeah, Thunder Buddies for life.
Thunder Buddies.
All right, which one of you guys has got one from 08?
I'll go because Nate's probably scrambling.
Right.
Always
Dragging it.
pull it out. Pull it out.
And
go.
for someone that's been to whatever it's been 500 shows in his life, I don't have a lot to pull from. So I could go really obscure, or I can go one that actually fits perfect given our guest last week. So it's a show in September of 08 at the Station in Portland, Maine, which I don't know if you've heard us talk about it. It was a pool hall. One half was pool tables. The other half was, kind of a small venue. The cap was probably 600 about. So the opener was band Lions. Maddie actually referenced them on the episode last week. The original guitarist of Lost for Words left and fronted Lions. So Lions opened. A Lost for Words opened. Vanna opened. Vanna's the one that got the deal from Pure Volume that Maddie referenced last week.
Yep.
4 Year Strong opened, who we talked about. Headliner is A Day to Remember. So the Victory Band.
Yep.
Which in 2008, they'd only put out one album on Victory. And here's the thing. They put out it's actually their second album on Victory Records when I was in college, and I was the metal director at our college radio station. I didn't like that album. I thought it was like wannabe screamo pop punks, with screaming and whatnot. I left this show halfway through A Day to Remember set, which the irony is, they came to Portland last year and headlined at the State Theater, and they're who they had Knocked Loose opened, who I love. But like, I would have stayed if they played a double set. Like, I love them. But they put out some banger albums after For Those Who Have Heart. That was the album that they were kind of touring on, which I didn't like in the moment. In retrospect, I do like that album. But yeah, I left halfway through, and I remember standing on the pool table side of the venue.
I've done that.
Yeah, just away from the riffraff. But it was a great show. I mean, stacked bill if you're into that scene at the time, and I love that venue.
Yeah.
The station.
The venue was cool. And I saw a show in 08 there that I don't have a stub for, which I'm now. You said the station, and my memory was jogged. But that's it was an interesting venue.
Yeah.
Very interesting venue, because you walk down these stairs and it was like pool tables to your right, bathroom kind of tucked in the corner to your left, and then you kind of walked into this opening where the bar was
on your left,
on the back side,
back left,
and then and then you took a right from there, and it was just this long kind of corridor that was the floor for the show, with the stage at the end of it. And it didn't hold more than 600. It couldn't have. I don't even know how. 600 might even be generous.
I think so.
It was small, but a good spot for all kinds of bands of that ilk at that time. So for those at home, Nate's disappeared. He just fell off the side of his screen. I don't know where he went. Oh, there he is. Okay, cool. He's probably still digging for another concert. But yeah, that's cool. There is we mentioned Return to the Pit last week, right? The website.
Yeah.
The guy who's all those photos that archives those shows. Was it that band or was it Shadows Fall? That there's a picture of one of you guys fixing the ceiling.
Oh, that was Shadows Fall
at that venue.
That was Terror Shadows Fall. That was Nate.
Yep.
And that was 05,
Nate.
I think.
Okay.
05, 06.
Fixing the ceiling. It's so great. It's such an awesome photo.
But same venue. Yeah.
Yeah, same venue. That's the point. So go look at the Return to the Pit and try to find the station, because there were some heavy shows at that place. They do thing called Metal Mondays, where a couple local bands that were heavy would play, and there was always stuff going on there in that time frame.
It was basically the basement of a strip mall. which
Pretty
was
much, yep.
which was funny. It just like
It was.
yeah, like I never knew that existed until they started having music.
Yeah, and they had like a small window. It was like 4 years that they had shows, 3 or 4 years.
And they got everyone. I mean,
they got everything,
big names: Thrice, 18 Visions, A Day to Remember,
Head PE,
Chimera.
Atmosphere played there. Yep, they hit all over the map.
Shadows Fall, 6 Feet Under.
I took money for our buddy's band Station 85 at the door one night. I was their money guy.
Yeah, so it shows you like big time touring bands and locals, you know, like with the Metal Mondays and stuff. But yeah, I mean, 2008, I only went to, you know, under 10 shows, but that's one that stands out, and it's relevant given who we had on last week.
Hell yeah.
Absolutely. And actually is a cool story on not really appreciating the music and then coming back to it and being obsessed with it, because that's the magic of nerdery. I've been in so many situations like that, and that's like I don't even know, it's not show regret. It's like, I'm an idiot, I didn't check this out before the gig. Regret, like, why the fuck wouldn't I look into this, you know, as a nerd? So it kind of shows that we're still natural fans, even though we're like super geeks. Like we still have misses. Like, we should have done our homework and we didn't, and that sucks.
Yeah, I mean, I liked a couple songs, but I feel like in the moment I kind of shit on them just because it was pop punk with breakdowns and it was kind of try hard, but I love them. I love Homesick. I like Common Courtesy and, you know, a few albums, and they have a new album coming out soon. So Nate, you want to take us home? What you got?
Yeah, I'm going to pull a festival. I've referenced this festival before on this podcast.
Where you met every band at the festival.
Nope, different.
Okay,
This is a different festival, actually. I think earlier when we were talking about, or actually when we first picked this year, I was like, oh, nice, 2008. I was on a run. And actually not only was I going to shows, but I was going to a lot of festivals. So between 2007 and 2010, I was kind of obsessed with this festival called Bonnaroo in Manchester, Tennessee. It's the epitome of a music festival. It's the way a music festival is supposed to be, and actually kind of evolved into more of a, I don't know, it kind of lost its roots to an extent. I think a lot of people can agree with that. And I think actually even when I started going in 07, it had already kind of lost its roots per se. It kind of sold out, I guess you'd say, because it started in 03, or maybe it was 04. First time I went was in 07, but we're talking about 2008 here. So my second year out of a 4-year residency for me to check out this festival every year. The 2008 lineup is like European music festival style lineup, like huge. Pearl Jam, Metallica, Jack Johnson, Kanye West, Robert Plant, Phil Lesh, My Morning Jacket, The Raconteurs, Willie Nelson, Death Cab, BB King, Sigur Rós, Ben Folds, OAR.
Damn.
Talib Kweli, you know, kind of everyone, like any kind of style. The Sword, Vampire Weekend, Little Feat, MGMT. I mean, it just goes on and on. Huge festival. You got comedy too, you know, Zach Galifianakis, just everyone. I mean, it's huge. It was like kind of the first time that I found a festival where I was like, nice, everything that I always saw on like European bills when I used to have a subscription to Kerrang magazine, like Download or Big Day Out in Australia, or that just has like all the great headliners, but it's not specific to one genre, which I think the United States at one point was like very specific, and still kind of is when you think about it. Like, this is a metal festival, like, so it's all gonna be metal bands, Slipknot, Korn, all that stuff, and that's cool. And then if you want to go to a hippie festival, it's like Fish and, you know, My Morning Jacket and all that stuff. But this is like a mix of everything. And the best part about it is there's no like music cutoff curfew, because it's way out there in Tennessee.
Nice. So
music would essentially go 24 hours, and usually that would be reminiscent of like a rave type festival, which I was never into that type music per se. But this is like literally like bands like Pearl Jam and Metallica going on. Like their set starts at like 11 p.m. and goes till 2 a.m. or something like that, which I mean, at the time I didn't think existed in our country. And I think this is the only one that could pull it off. Even Coachella in the desert out here in California has a curfew of, I think, 11 p.m. And other festivals I've gone to, other festivals in like major markets like Lollapalooza, is in the city proper. So they actually have a noise ordinance in play where like the curfew is actually 10 p.m. sharp, and they'll actually pull the plug on you. So this gives a lot of flexibility to the bands to just keep going, which is very like the rock star thing you see in documentaries. Like it just doesn't happen anymore. You could go on late, you could collab, you could have other people come on stage with you, and just a huge, massive sea of people, which another thing, you know, referencing to like our roots and nerdery, like watching Rage Against the Machine videos of them playing festivals in Europe where it's a sea of people. Like I dreamt of being part of that. And this is the first time. And that's actually why I went 4 years in a row. It was like a rush. It was like, I wasn't even doing anything crazy. I would just like drink and, dabble in weed or whatever. I wasn't doing anything like hardcore. It was really just about the music. And it was like being part of this finally. And it was sweet.
You said you had a residency there for 4 years. I like the way that you phrased that. So when you get there and you pull up in your car with whoever you're with, I think 1 year, our mutual buddy Chris went with you, among others. Was 08 the year that he went with you guys? I can't remember.
No,
tried to get me.
He went in 2010 with me.
Okay. But I remember that being a thing because I think I was roommates with Chris at the time. But yeah, so you have a residency. So you pull up in the car with your camping gear and all that. To like, oh wow, thank you, Nate. You're here again. I'm going to show you right to your room, and here's your trailer and your residency here. You're going on at 1 a.m. tonight. You get any of that?
No, not quite. I was roughing it, but I mean I wanted to rough it. There's options to upgrade to get like a glamping type thing where you get an RV or your own personal bathroom and stuff like that. But the cheapest ticket, which I think I don't have the ticket in front of me actually, the only thing I could find was the actual bracelet.
Oh, nice.
Take a pic, snap a photo. I'll need that.
But I know that I have the stub because the stubs are like collector's items. They're very unique. They look like Willy Wonka type illustration and whatnot. Yeah, no, this is like super Woodstock 69 style. Like you have a tent, it's blazing hot. This is Manchester, Tennessee in early June, so it's hot as hell and dry, like very arid. And there was no luxury about it. You're just like super dried out, eating whatever you can, drinking tons of water, and just literally seeing music nonstop. It's like a nerdery dream, to be honest, because it's so pure, or it was at least in this phase. To see Pearl Jam and run over and see Kanye West, and then run over and see the Raconteurs and BB King talk about stories from the 60s, and it's just like, what?
Do you bring your own tent, obviously? Do you
yeah
do you like park your car then walk to the venue, or do you park and then you tent right next to your vehicle, or how does it work?
No, totally. That's a good question because it's very pre-COVID. Your ticket comes with, at first it came with camping. They changed it where camping's an additional cost, but your ticket comes with camping, so it actually becomes a really good deal. It's a 4-day festival, and you park your car and you get a little parcel of land around your car.
Nice.
Essentially right behind your car to pitch a tent and make a little site with I always brought like a portable camping stove and stuff like that. And and your neighbors with other cool people. I've met so many cool people. It's actually why I loved going, because it was like, my inner hippie really came out. Like, nice, we're all here for the same reason, to see like really cool music and like have a 4-day vacation from the real world. And it's not like going to a show then you got to go back and go to work, or if it's weekend, like that was cool that I got to see that 2-hour show. This is like 4 days of music nonstop, and it's like, it's everything. And it's actually a really good platform to discover music. So there's like 6 stages. Obviously the main stages, there's 2, I believe. So that's where you would see like Metallica and Pearl Jam and Kanye and Robert Plant and stuff like that. And then there's like a bunch of small stages, and you would see like, who else is on here? Like Against Me, Osmotley, Amy Mann, Ghostland Observatory, Jose Gonzalez, one of my favorites, folk artist. Les Zeppelin, which is a Led Zeppelin cover band. This is after Led Zeppelin reunited in the UK, so I thought they were rumored to play this festival, but they didn't, but they got the cover band instead, and Robert Plant played solo.
That's great.
Yeah, little troll on the fans, but unbelievable festival. I think this is the best year that I went, was 08. 07 was pretty cool. 09 and 10 were great too, but obviously I'm a huge Pearl Jam fan. I'm actually a huge Metallica fan too, so, and I was like still pretty young, right? So this was actually doable. Just had a blast. I kind of wish that I went to like maybe 2 or 3 more years. But
yeah, no, I remember you putting on the full court press to try to get me to go, and I was broke. I was just like, and looking back on it now, obviously I wish I had done it at least once, because I did go to some smaller stuff with you in our state. That was a blast for a night or two, and I wish I had done the big scale one at least once or twice. It just never happened for me.
Yeah. And you mentioned the financial thing, and it's a good point because it is expensive. I think the tickets were like $280 before fees, and there was like some fees, so it became a little over $300. But over 4 days, and then the amount of music you're seeing, I always justified it as like it's actually a bargain.
Yeah, across the days, you factor in the accommodations with the you can tent and whatnot. Yeah, for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's one of those shows that obviously very familiar with, but I never thought to go. You know what I mean? And in hindsight, yeah, obviously through the 2020 vision lens, I wish I would have gone, but I never did. This or Coachella or Lollapalooza, none of those. Never went.
Or Nativa. Oh wait, we did that.
That one happened. Yeah.
That was once. We talked about that a little bit with Rob, right? That came up on I think that came up on our episode with Rob. But yeah, no, that's a good one, Nate. And I'm jealous listening. You listing off all those bands. I'm like, a world where that happens again. We will see it hopefully in 2021, where that we can congregate again, maybe late next year, and see a bunch of bands together, and maybe they'll be a little bit cheaper so we can all get to go, because we're all going to be broke because nobody has jobs. So fingers crossed.
Yeah, we might be able to use the industry play on this one. Bonnaroo.
Yeah,
Nerdery
the
Productions.
Whole reason we did this, right? We need the kickbacks, guys.
The West Coast Deftones trip.
Yeah,
exactly.
That's gonna happen.
Cool, good segment. I think we should wrap there. That we got more years. We get more concerts in those years. This is definitely repeatable. You'll hear this again down the road.
Yeah,
the wheel of concerts.
Yeah, that was fun. And again, like I said, I personally have probably close to 500 shows I've been to, so plenty to pull from. Plenty of obscure stuff, plenty of well-known stuff. So
yeah, yep. And I have probably half that, which feels like a decent amount. So, and I know Nate's probably in your wheelhouse, in the closer to 500 range. So we got some stuff to talk about. There's still some more cool stuff out there.
I know. I almost like I was saying earlier, I almost like keep it a mystery on purpose. Like, I don't know how many tickets I have in here, and obviously we don't account for the ones we don't have stubs for. So I don't know. I should get it organized. This keeps it interesting. Have I been to 600 concerts? Have I been to 1,000? How much money have I spent on this stuff?
Well, that's another story. That's another story.
Different segment. Yeah.
How much money in fees did I give Ticketmaster?
Oh God, it's in the thousands.
Episode 4. So hit us on the socials at Podioslave, Twitter, Instagram. We're active. We're around. And then Gmail, Podcast at gmail.com. We'll be back with you next week. We got some fun, maybe end of the year stuff that we're working on that you might hear towards the big end of the year, beginning of 2021. And then we're working on other things. We're trying to keep this thing rolling.
Yeah, like, share, subscribe.
Yeah, rate us too. Rate. We haven't been rated in a while. Rate us.
Like, share, subscribe, rate.
Yep. Exactly. All of the above. Awesome. Thanks for listening, everyone. Cheers.
Peace.
Peace, potheads.